Hello, happy holidays. Jerry Capone here from the Elixir Kitchen. Thank you so much for joining us for our special class, our last class of the year. And we have a great one in store for you. I am joined, by always, by the amazing Daniela Ferrini. Hello, Daniela.
Hi, Jeremy. So exciting. This makes it a full year for me with Elixir Kitchen and with you, Jeremy. And yes, you are going to be so impressed with the recipes that Jeremy has come up with today. They're very special. So without further ado, we're just going to get into it right now. So the first well, before we get into the first recipe, we need to actually talk about the three of them. So the first one we're going to be doing is roasted grape and walnut sweet potatoes, then holiday orange, ginger, salmon, and Napa cabbage. And then the last one, which I really like because it means there's an alliteration there, spiced chocolate cherry chestnut pots. So let's get started. Our first recipe is the roasted grape and walnut sweet potatoes. This delicious recipe is easy to make and bursting with flavor and health protective nutrients like the vitamin A and C that's in the sweet potato, the mineral copper, the B vitamins in the grapes, and the healthy fats and protein that's in the walnuts. You could enjoy this as a side dish for your holiday meal, or if your appetite is really small these days, you can actually have it as a small snack at any time of day. Over to you, Jeremy.
We're going to jump into the first recipe. We have three recipes set up for you today. Holiday inspired for sure. And Daniela has some great tips on how to sort of eat better throughout the holidays, even when you're not feeling your best. So she has some great tips to bring as well. And she's just sorting out her audio and she'll join us. I'm going to jump right into the first recipe. So this is, it's one of my favorites. It's like a nice little side dish, which I think would be great for the holidays, and it's super easy to prepare. So I think from a cooking point of view, especially if you're, you don't have the energy, you're not feeling up to it, having to cook a lot of dishes, having to spend a lot of time in the kitchen is probably not going to be what you're looking forward to. So here's a few, we're going to go through a few hacks on how to make some meals, and these are a little more special, right? Because it's the holidays, maybe you're either entertaining or maybe you're bringing a dish to someone's house. So we're going to make it simple, but also elevated and festive in any way we can. So the first dish we're going to make is with some sweet potatoes. So this is a great little roasted sweet potato dish, which can be as a side, it could be like a little snack maybe, and we're going to show you how to like bump it up and make it a little more festive, a little more interesting. So really simply, the way I do these sweet potatoes, especially to make it easy, especially because sweet potatoes, root vegetables, squash, a lot of these things, these are harder vegetables. They can take a lot more energy, a lot more time to prep. And especially if you're not super comfortable with your knife or knife skills, sometimes when you have those hard vegetables and they're round and they're sort of rolling around on your cutting board and you're sort of chasing it around your cutting board, it's not the safest thing either. So here's a little tip on how to prep these super, with a lot more ease. Just all I do is wash them, put them on a baking tray, baking pan, and then pop them in the oven. Okay, about 400 degrees for about 40 minutes, 50 minutes, depending on your oven, just until they're soft to touch. And you might start to see some of that sort of natural sugar, that sap on the inside, start to come out. Okay, so that's when you want to roast them until. And what you have, show you one what you have is a sweet potato like this. So there's a sweet potato before, here's our sweet potato after, and you can see nice and soft to the touch. And then at this point, it's cooked all the way through. I'm just gonna do just a little slit on top and then push the ends in just to open it up. So you have this nice little jacket on the outside, It's almost nice and crispy. A little bit of that caramelization there, and that's it. Like really no work at all. Roasted, just washed in the oven. I didn't add anything to it, and you have this amazing little jacket potato ready to sort of stuff and plus up with some delicious ingredients. And you can keep it really simple. You can put like a little bit of olive oil, maybe a little bit of cheddar, maybe even a little bit of butter and some herbs. Make it really easy. I'm going to show you one of my favorite ways to make it maybe a little more festive, a little bit more interesting and exciting. So sweet potatoes done, beautiful, ready to go. And next, we're going to roast some grapes. Okay, so this might seem a little odd, but the grapes have this obviously sweetness to them, and when they're roasted, we're going to add some other ingredients as well. We want to get this like sweet and sour effect going on, which is going to add this incredible nice little balance to the sweetness of the sweet potato. So very simply, get some grapes, wash them really well, put them into a baking tray. I'm making a small version here, but you can put them in a little baking dish like this. And then we're going to add some walnuts for a little crunch. You can almonds, you can add chestnuts, whatever you like. But I like the addition of the walnuts in here. That's really, really nice little textural crunch. You can put in some herbs if you want. I'm just going to stuff it in. This is some thyme, maybe some rosemary, whatever you like. And you don't really have to do too much, so just throw the whole sprig on there. It'll do its job, just like that. Okay, and then we're going to add a little bit of olive oil. Too much, but just maybe like a tablespoon. And this is where we get the sour, a little sweet and sour, but a little bit of balsamic vinegar. If you don't have balsamic vinegar, you can use any vinegar. That is going to still contribute that sour taste, sour effect, and just a splash. And you can do a little pinch of salt if you want on here as well. And that's it. There we have it. You can also throw in, here's where you can add other things. You can throw some grapes in here if you want. You can definitely throw some like chunks of like cheddar and stuff like that to add a little bit more sort of savoriness and saltiness to it. But simply, that's it. Grapes, walnuts, maybe some herbs, olive oil and vinegar. Okay. Throw this into the oven. Now I have the oven. I was roasting the sweet potato. What I would do is maybe for the last like 20 minutes of roasting the sweet potato, you can pop this in as well. It doesn't take that much time, and I don't want the walnuts to get too dark because they'll burn pretty quickly. But for the last 20 minutes, you can pop this in the oven. That way it's ready at the same time. And you take it out in a version. This is what we're looking at. Let me see if I can get a little more light on this. I'll bring it a little closer. Here. Balsamic vinegar, you get this amazing little caramelization going on with the grapes, and it smells incredible. And again, like it looks like pretty simple to roast the sweet potato and then to jazz it up with these grapes and walnuts. I think it turns it from just a regular tasty sweet potato into something a little bit more festive and exciting. And let's assemble some of these. So we've got a little board here. And put our sweet potatoes on here. And this is something you can do in advance. And you can definitely roast the sweet potato. And when they're nice and roasted like this, you just pop them. Same with the grapes. Roast them up, pop them in the fridge, and then right before serving, you can throw them in the oven just to warm up. If you're not a big fan of grapes, like I said, you can use like figs would be really, really great in this. Or maybe just some toasted nuts on top would be really tasty. Then we're gonna get some of our grapes. And I love like when the grapes just sort of start to burst and caramelize a little bit. I'll just toss them off. These are still on the stem. I left them on the stem. Fancy, but we have a few stem here. I've got a few different, these are massive, but I have a few different styles here. Maybe a few walnuts on top. If you're watching, comment on what some of your favorite holiday side dishes are. I'd love to know. Here. And the grapes too, like this is, even if you're not doing it with sweet potatoes, this little roasting of the grapes with the walnuts is a nice little dish on its own if you were serving it maybe with some like cheese and some crackers. Again, easy way to elevate that a little bit. Just roast some of these together. Top, and then what you'll get at the bottom of your baking dish, what you should get from the bottom, juice from the grapes and the vinegar, spoon, oh, we'll put some extra ones just on the outside, just to fancy it up a little bit more. I think. All right, that looks really good. Let's get it in the light here so you get a better look at that. Here we go. So that is our first little dish, and again, it takes time to roast the sweet potatoes, right? So it might take 40-60 minutes depending on your oven, but a lot of that is what we call non-active cooking, right? So you don't have to be standing to do a lot of work. You're just washing the sweet potatoes whole, popping them in a tray, throwing them in the oven, and in that time you can work on something else or rest if you need to, while these sort of roast away. But assembling it together takes a couple of minutes. And you have this really, really kind of nice looking, festive, delicious little side dish. So there you go. That's our first recipe.